What's up? Can you hear me? Before we get into anything, can you hit the record button and just save a copy?
Yeah.
Sorry to take up valuable gigs.
All good.
I don't know if you have any to spare.
No, I don't have any gigs, so I'm set. It says, please request record permission from the host.
Oh my god. Okay. That's very controlling. Hey, Keegan, can you allow it? Dude, it says allow record. I'll allow it just this once.
I had to open the blues up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to open the blues up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to open the blues up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. Come out to show them.
You know how easy it is to just lift your leg off of someone's neck? When you've been having your leg on their neck for a very long time, more time than you probably should have your knee actually on someone's neck. The thing is, people need to breathe with the air goes through their neck so that they can breathe. And what happens when you put your knee on someone's neck is that you keep them from breathing. I'm not sure if you understand the mechanics of the situation. It's really not complicated at all.
I was listening to a bunch of your tracks today,
Okay.
and I really like all of it, but I particularly like Fuck 12.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
for George Floyd. It's just something about it really expressed the frustration that I felt at that time. And it's just a lot of energy. The track just has a lot of but it's not chaotic in an annoying way. It's kind of just this fury.
Yeah.
It's really good. I really liked it.
Thank you.
But you've been making I don't like to get too far ahead of myself because I want to give people context. Your name is Nat Peirce. Your project is Law Years, and you make all of this by yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much all of it. There are a few. Hold on. Let me make sure that I'm not disregarding people. There's one track, Purple Church, on Bandcamp that is the band with Alberto and Paul and Liam.
Okay. But most of it is just you though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just if I get an idea, and everything's set up to go, I get a feeling I'm I really should make something, and then I just do it, and then I just obsess over it for a long time until it's done, and then I'm okay.
Yeah.
And my Bandcamp is just a bunch of stuff that just is that thing, just me being a psycho and just
yeah.
Once I start a track, I can't help it. I need to do it.
Yeah. I mean that energy really comes across on the recordings, and and honestly, it's a cool combination with the way you've been marketing it, or I don't even want to call it. I mean, marketing. It's a word, but the way you have been promoting it has been, I think, appropriate and in good. They complement each other, and
cool.
because it's you're. I mean, so when I've been talking about your music on social media, promoting the podcast and stuff, and I shared Astral Skramz, and it reminds me of Beefheart. It reminds me of more Zappa in the more super whacked out direction. But also it reminds me a lot of like punk rock that I know you're into, and metal and jazz, you know. So it is an eclectic and contemporary classical music. So it's this interesting blend of all that stuff. And I know, you know, not everyone who listens to the podcast is super knowledgeable in genre names or artists, but I think it's like, just listen to what Nat is doing, and it's exciting, and it has the energy of to me, it has the energy of like punk music. But I think what's been different watching this track come out, Astral Skramz, has been the way you've promoted it, or whatever you want to say. I guess it's promotion, you know. Been making these videos, astral motivation. Can you talk a little bit about where that idea came from and what's that about?
So like when I moved back to Massachusetts from New Jersey, I got into that album Magical Mystery Tour.
Classic.
Just because it's like it's like mystical. It's like a very mystical sounding album, and George Harrison is really into that kind of stuff. Like he's really into the spiritual thing and like India and all that, and he's like really into the mysticism stuff. Yeah. And the track Blue Jay Way is
one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's like specifically mystical. Like they made it to sound like that, and they're in the video. They're, you know, like they have like a projector and there's like a screen, and they're like projecting like random stuff, and there's like a guy in front of it, and he's like sitting without a shirt on. It says magical mystery. No, it says like magical mystical boy or something, and he's got glasses, and he's just like really confused.
Wow.
And like, I don't know, George Harrison is like riding a horse, like a wooden horse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Isn't there a lot of like fog and stuff?
Yeah.
And he's on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in that field, and they're like throwing the soccer ball up and like dancing around and stuff. And then they're like looking at you through the camera, and they're saying don't belong. They're saying like don't belong.
Oh my God.
They're like whispering at you, and I dude, like I just love that thing so much, because it's just so like magical. It's just like just so it just gives me a lot of like reassurance. You know, it like makes me happy, because it's like there's, you know, like I feel like it's on the line between like saying, you know, our universe is like kind of like a magical, kind of like weird place where we don't really know what's happening, and like it has kind of like a mystical foundation where we like don't really know, but maybe we would if we could tap into that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And between like that and the materialist kind of view, which is like it's like only material and everything is like building blocks, and like we need to just like believe in like that view. So it's like, but in my opinion, like I would prefer it if our universe had like a kind of like magical foundation. That would make me feel good. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, right. Okay, word. You know, that makes me feel like it's worth it.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so like that video kind of says like, hey, like what if it is that? You know? Right. So
that's awesome. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that was like a huge inspiration. And then so I was thinking, I was like, I really want to do videos like that. You know?
Yeah.
And so one day I was working on Astral Skramz, and I did this album art. You may have seen it. It's the one, I think I sent it to you. It's the one with like the fluorescent light bulbs. Yeah. So I did that one, and then it kind of reminded me, like when I was listening to it and looking at that art, it kind of reminded me of like, for some reason, one of those motivational talks that people go to.
Yeah, totally. That is an interesting connection, but I mean, I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, cause it reminded me of like, you're at like a weird kind of like, you know, with a bunch, it's like a fluorescent room, and like there's a bunch of chairs, and people are coming out, and they're like, raise your hand if, like, you want to make a big impact this year.
Right. And then everyone's like, yeah, I want to do that. Yeah.
And they go like, okay, all right, we got a few in here. Like, that's great, and like, and they're like, none of you are taking advantage of the new medium of, you know what I mean? And they're talking about, they're like, TikTok is the new medium that everyone should be on. And it's like really stupid.
It's so silly. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was interesting because I thought that Astral Skramz was kind of like motivation, but like, to like, it's like motivation to not give so much value to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like not give so much value to the, I'm playing the long game and I'm going to work super hard, or if I don't, I'm going to like be a loser.
Yeah. That's the only two options.
Yeah. Yeah. And
in that worldview. Yeah. It's really messed up.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, what if I did a motivational talk, but it was basically turning people off from that?
That's cool.
So that's Astral Motivation. And then I mixed it with like, the like Blue Jay Way stuff. Like there's one part where I'm like rubbing a mixer on like another mixer, and I'm just like rubbing it, and I'm just
love that.
I'm just like, what do you think about this?
I love it. I loved it. I love watching you play with the lampshade.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it was it's like, I think the thing is, you and I have known you for a long time, so I know kind of how you look at the world, and you and I have connected on a lot of like philosophical matters and stuff like that. So I just immediately think it's amusing because I know what you're making fun of. Like, I just think it's hilarious. And I think it's great that you're doing it. And I hope more people, maybe through listening to this podcast, can understand kind of what this is. Because what I think it represents as a consumer is just like the stress, like the emotional stress that people put themselves through in these sort of high achieving pursuits or whatever.
Exactly.
And that binary you're talking about of the outcomes of, you either have made it and you're the best person in the history of the world, or you have failed beyond any kind of redeemability, or like, it's just ridiculous. Success is how you make it. It's like, are we living in Ricky Bobby, where it's like, if you ain't first, you're last, it's like a really weird, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I notice on the album cover for Astral Skramz, you're criticized, or I don't even know if you just say like, thank you, Gary V, for saving my life, or something like that. Yeah. And that's in the song, right? You're yelling that. Yeah. What's your, I mean, like, I have my issues with Gary V. What are your issues with him?
Well, so like I go through like a lot of phases with like who I listen to and like what I'm into and like what I'm, taking from. And like, I know that like, I look back and I go, wow, Nat, like you were really listening to that. Like, but I was like,
everybody definitely has that.
Yeah. Like
I do too.
Yeah. Like at some points I was, I've listened to like, I've listened to Gary V. Like when I was like doing that cleaning job a lot, I was like cleaning bathrooms and like listening to Gary V, because he was like, his thing is like, he really entertains that part of your brain that's like, you're trash now, but if you just do wicked tedious things like all day, that's that's what hard work is. Like if you just do tedious things, like posting on social media at like, and just doing like super consistent, like hard, like this is how you get attention. And his thing is like, attention is the currency. Like, oh, he's like, I'm in the attention market. So like, he's like, if you have attention, then you can like maybe sell things, you know what I mean? And if you're like marketing to the right base, you can like do things like that. And like, that's cool or whatever. Like, I like believed in that for a little bit. 'Cause like, I was like, oh, well, this is how I'm going to like maybe make something and then get like, you know, let it like blow up a little bit and like get some like more people checking it out and stuff.
Right.
But like I did that for a little bit, and then I realized that if you get numbers, that doesn't necessarily mean that they like your music.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
I you know I
Like, yeah.
I would get a lot of numbers, and I'd be like, okay, word, like, you know, in Gary V's world, that's fantastic. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
But then I realized that like I had like probably one person who actually really liked the thing.
Right.
And who, you know, like it was the graveyard thing.
Yep.
With the black metal paint and all that. And so there was one person from Texas. His name is Nate, and he's wicked into metal. And he just thought it was like the coolest thing. And he was texting me, and like we were talking, and he was like sending me riffs and stuff, and he was like sharing it. And
That's awesome.
like that's so great, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like basically my mind received this feedback from the world, which was like, yeah, you know, like you marketed it well, you got like a lot of people to check it out, but literally one person responded to you and it was like, yay, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think people think that if you market well and then you get a lot of numbers,
Yeah.
all of those people are going to be like, holy crap, like this is so cool.
Right.
But it doesn't work like that at all.
Yeah.
So
It's
that
just
kind
like-
of,
It's like just data.
it's just data.
Yeah.
And so that turned me off to the whole like, you know, marketing thing. Like I'm just like, at this point, I just want to, if one person likes a thing I do, then I've like succeeded and I feel good, you know.
That's
And
awesome.
So, and it's better because it's like, once I started focusing on one song at a time and just making like really good songs, like one at a time, and like maybe different styles. So like, if I make songs, they may be like different styles, but if I try to make them really good and like maybe one person likes each song,
Yeah.
then that's awesome, because now I make like 5 songs, then like 5 new people are into the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's way better than like getting like 10,000 people or whatever, not even 10,000, like maybe like 1,000 people, and then like one person likes it.
Yeah.
It's like what's the point of reaching those 10,000 people?
I think it's one of those things, man, where like guys like Gary V, I feel like their whole trip, their whole message is like, I guess it could apply to music, but like especially what you're doing is so specific
Yeah.
that like most people, I don't know, it's not going to hit them how you, but I mean, like, I guess you were hashtagging like metal,
Right.
black metal, and even then you're saying it was still like one guy.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So
it's
even
just-
that kind of narrow casting marketing, it's still just sort of like, what the hell?
Yeah, and I mean, it's just stupid. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, I did that stuff just because I was like really antsy and like I wanted to, you know, I wanted to make it like a big thing, and I was like all excited and like, and I knew that like through Instagram, a lot of people would see it, like versus, you know, I would always do I would do like a YouTube video and it would get like 100 views or whatever. But
Yeah.
I would do like a Instagram ad and it would get like 1,000 or like 2,000 views, like if I did it right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, I mean, more people are seeing it. Obviously, this is better. You know what I mean? And I can do it really fast.
Right.
But you're right. It's like, it doesn't mean that, because like obviously like my music, I'm really bad at like picking like a genre, like a generic genre, and then doing that generic genre. Like it always has to be some weird thing, because I just go like, oh, well, you know, it could be like this and that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this very narrow, like, you know, thing. And then it's like, yeah, only one person likes it. That makes sense, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of music, you know, experimental music, avant-garde music has always had a fairly limited audience, but I mean, those people are really into it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of make up for it in that way, at least. But that's, you know, I mean, I just like watching these projects. I'm just checking my notes here. I'll probably cut this out just to make sure I'm on track, because I have other things I want to ask you about. We talked about Gary Vee.
Okay. Gary Vee is so funny.
He's such a yeah.
Yeah, and it's like once I realized that I was doing like the motivational thing, but it was like opposite Gary Vee, I was like, oh well, Gary Vee sucks. Like fuck him. Like it makes sense that he sucks now.
Well, you kind of just, you and your friend, what's your friend's name who helped you with that?
Kenda.
You and Kenda just like nailed it. You know, just the tone, like there's a tone to those talks, and both of you satirized it perfectly. I mean, it is stupid. It's a very consumerist disposition. You know, that's what's always bugged me about those videos, are just guys like that who are like, there's some weird little buff guy named like Adam something or other on YouTube. He's like this little tight buff guy.
Are you talking about Adam Ivy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I know what yeah.
And his videos are fucking weird with like all the, you know, like, yeah, if you put in these, you know, he had like these weird formulas for hashtags that's going to get your music to new people and all this kind of stuff. But then he wants you to like buy his course.
Yeah.
And take a course with him on how to do this stuff. And it's like, what do you don't do anything other than whatever the hell this is. You don't make music. He's sitting in front of a computer with like a MIDI keyboard, but it's like, who are you? You look like you sell creatine at the mall. You know, you look like you work at Planet Fitness, and that's fine. But it's like, what the hell? You have nothing to do with my career or my ideas of marketing. So that's why I appreciate, and I'm sure other people see through it too. It's not like we're that, you know, genius in that way, but I mean, it's important to be like, this is bullshit. Like,
yeah.
But what I like about what you're doing, and this is a dimension I want to go into, is you're talking about this stuff from like kind of a spiritual disposition, where it's like, this is actually polluting your sense of self.
Yeah.
Or distorting it.
Yeah.
And you're like, your achievements and your sense of well-being is sort of in jeopardy when you follow this whatever methodology that these guys are spouting.
Yeah. I think it's honestly, it's like, it's so anti feeling good.
Absolutely.
Just in general. Like I feel like we try so hard to feel good and feel like we're having a good time and like we're calm and all these things, and like it's because of the world we live in. You know, we're constantly berated by like terrible like everything. It's always this like
absolutely
thing.
Yeah, media is so exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And so these people basically in a world where that's a thing, where you turn on your YouTube and every single day it says like, hey, coronavirus got 20% worse today. You know, hey, you know, like, don't you dislike Donald Trump? Like we do too. Like every single day it's like that thing, you know?
Yes.
And it's like, in a world where I'm receiving that, I'm also being told that if I don't take, you know, a day to myself once a week, then like, okay, sorry. If I don't work 7 days a week, like grinding.
Yeah. Death clock kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I don't do that, then I'm like a loser, and I'm not like utilizing my like privilege and like the time I was born in. And like my already like my financial stability that's already there, like I'm not like utilizing that, then I like suck. It's so stupid. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what is life supposed to be? Like, we're supposed to just like enjoy hanging out and like doing stuff and like enjoy like the outdoors. It's like, what do we have?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like these people are just creating this ugly like weird thing, and it's like, ugh, get away from me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's
it's
toxic.
terrible.
I you know, the word toxic is overused, but it is. I think what you're describing is a toxic attitude towards life, that everything is later.
Yeah.
And it's not to say you shouldn't plan for the future, but because that's just part of life too. But also,
Right.
but they're talking about this weird 1%er, economic, I'm going to climb the ladder to the top and just be like this dominating weird whatever king of the free market capitalist game or whatever. I mean, it's psycho.
Yeah.
Really crazy people stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is we went to Berkeley together. People who are watching this probably know that, or they don't. Now you do. And when you're at a school like that, it's a show business school.
Yeah.
And I think people, I think maybe going into it, you think it's going to be this kind of at least I'll speak from my experience. I thought going into it would be a more open-minded art school.
Yeah.
Where kind of all ideas were welcomed, but like any place, there's a strict orthodoxy, and there is a disposition in of the people who run the place. And so basically, if your music was not jazz, pretty accessible jazz, or very accessible singer-songwriter music, or very accessible basically if your music is at all subversive or experimental, or even just even the slightest bit of abrasion, for the most part, you were viewed as unmarketable, alienating, and therefore not worth anyone's attention or time.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's weird that I don't know how other careers are, but I know that what we do is we sell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we, and then I know exactly what you're talking about with this, with the Gary V criticism and with Astral Skramz, because it's these people act like they have the path, but it's a totally demented road.
Yeah, it is.
And we've just kind of been sold it our whole young adult lives to just kind of be yeah, well, I should step on other people to get ahead, and I should, I shouldn't worry about building community. I'm just this weird lone wolf out there to whatever, win exactly. Something. Yeah.
That's all it's about. That's all it's about is winning.
Winning.
It's the one thing that people care about.
It's fucking really crazy.
It's so weird. It's guys, but the thing is, what makes me really upset is it's once you win, do you just go wow, I'm happy, I'm so happy, I'm in blissful, I'm in this oblivious incredible state. It's because you won. It's yeah, okay. Yeah. It's every single day of my life I'm trying to adjust myself to go, am I comfortable now?
Yeah.
Am I comfortable now?
It's yeah.
And no matter what I do, it's never gonna end.
No.
So
no.
It's
I agree.
These people being hey, basically they're saying you will find the comfortable state of living if you market on 7 social media platforms all day for the next 20 years. You will find that you'll be finally
yeah,
you're
oh.
So that's that's the Astral Skramz thing, is just being that is stupid, stop.
Yeah, it's awesome. And as I said, everyone should go to Nat's Bandcamp. Is this stuff going to be on the big boys?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. The Astral Skramz, the cover is going to be different, but it's still be on there. It's going to be the brown peace sign.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
So that'll be on there.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, people should keep an eye out for it. Yeah. Go check out what Nat's up to, because it's interesting stuff, and it's just different.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with the fact that we're all stuck inside because of someone in power who didn't give a fuck? Dealing with quarantine, okay?
It's pretty lame. I'm kind of scared. I feel like ultimately blessed because like I haven't gotten it, and nobody I know has gotten it except for my coworker Paz, who got it maybe like a couple months ago, and he like had a pretty brutal like week, and then he got through it, which is fantastic. I don't know anybody else in my life who has gotten it, which I'm like, holy crap, like thank you universe, like this is fantastic, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And I'm honestly like I'm not going to complain about, you know, like getting stuck inside or like not being able to do things. Like it's whatever, you know, like I wish I could have gotten law years going. Like this would have been the prime time to do it, but I figured like I'm not gonna get everybody together because you know they were in Boston, and like I'm not gonna like risk it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm dealing with it. I got to make I'm happy that I was able to make a lot of music in that time.
Hell yeah.
So that's good, but at the same time, it's kind of like I don't really understand what other people are going through. So, you know, I can't really feel too positive about it.
Yeah. That's an interesting
So, yeah.
point. I mean, yeah, no, that's interesting. There are definitely people suffering, and you know, a lot of people suffering. Yeah, I mean, everyone I know lost their job
Yeah.
like immediately.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
lost my job a few months later.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have a net. You know, not everyone has a net, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, yeah, I'm lucky too. It's like, I'm lucky that, you know, my parents are kind of like, you know, Nat, like, it's okay. Everyone is like going slow right now, you know, like it's chill. Like, don't worry too much. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I had so many people try to like, a bunch of my friends feeling very insecure when this started, and they tried to like do some like big man, like big time and stuff. Like, oh, well, I got this going on and I got that going on, and it all got canceled. It's like,
yeah,
no one is like, yeah, it's easy to feel insecure right now. Like, oh, like my life is stagnant. It's like, well, everyone's stagnant.
it's
you know?
okay.
And it's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, you know, this goes along with the whole like Astral Skramz like perspective. It's like we should take a moment to just sit and be like, well, everyone is just like, you know, being life for a second. Let's just like sit on a couch.
Part of the podcast is talking about people's creativity in quarantine. You sort of touched on it there, is how much you made. How many do you remember? Like, what's the total? I want to say you made what, 5 tracks or 5 new sessions?
Something like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and there was when the quarantine started, I was like, just like really antsy, like super antsy.
Yeah.
And I was watching that guy Cuomo online, and I was like, wow, this is really something, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just so antsy one day, and I made that Corona song, and
Yeah.
but that song's interesting because that wasn't even supposed to be like a fucked up song. It was supposed to be like a nice song, and I felt really like I wanted to make a nice song that day.
Sure.
And for some reason, the only energy that came out of me was like just like the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
And
I remember being very startled by that song when I first heard it, being like, whoa, this is real shit. It was very manic.
Yeah, it's a fucking weird track, dude.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, and then so I did that, and like my friend Jake was like, yo, that's sick. And I was like, all I need to do is just make tracks.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm in quarantine, I'm just gonna make some songs. And
Good for you.
that was good. I was lucky that I kept having ideas. And that's when I was like, I'm not gonna do this stupid. I'm not gonna like make a song and then promote it for a while and then like put it out. I'm just gonna like put it out.
Yeah.
And so I did that like, a bunch of times.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
it was good. It was good. I was lucky that I had a flow going.
Yeah. You had the fuck 12 and the hip to be square.
Yeah.
That was
Hip to Be
cool.
Square was so weird.
I mean, I remember seeing that scene in that movie, and I just that movie was fucking freaky.
It's such a weird movie, dude.
Yeah, it's a weird movie.
Feeling.
Yeah, but your arrangement of it puts it puts a whole different tone on it. Because I mean, in that movie, in that moment, it's that song, the "Hip to Be Square" song, which is a very kind of like
Hip to Be Square.
Yeah. But
it's a song that's so catchy. You don't even listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like when I heard the music on that one really sounded to me like, oh, this is Law Years. Like this is this sort of surreal jazz, 20th century classical music thing. It's a weird combo.
I'm glad you think that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that did that to you, because I was like, oh, this is kind of like, I had a glimpse of kind of like what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I kind of have like recently lost that, and I'm like, damn it. But like that one song, I was kind of like, I see what this is, and I kind of did that. And like that's sick that you were like, oh, this is like this theme. This has like a thing to it.
Yeah.
So,
oh, it definitely communicated. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, it was cool. It was strong. People should, if they're frustrated about all this stuff or they want some catharsis, they should check out Astral Skramz. That's what that's what I say. You should go listen to Astral Skramz. Yeah, you're welcome.
If you are thinking that maybe, if you're thinking that maybe your experience is a fleeting dream on a floating rock in hyperspace, and like everyone around you is just like a small creature at the whim of the universe, the endless heaviness of truth, absolute truth, and maybe you want to learn more about that, or maybe you want to become free from your like delusions as a human in our stupid culture, you should check out Astral Skramz.
Boom. Boom. Do you want to tell people where they can find your stuff or what to look for, where,
Sure. So if you look up Law Years on iTunes or Spotify, it should be on there. I need to put more of the stuff on there. But all of it is on Bandcamp. I would prefer if you just go on Bandcamp, because like there's like colors and stuff, and there's like artwork and stuff that goes along with it. And it's lawyears.bandcamp.com. And I have an Instagram. I'm slowly phasing that out because it's like literally turning my brain to mushy mush. And I picture a world where I'm not on that, and I actually feel like it's a very bright, sunny future.
Nice.
But if you want to, it's Nat Peirce on Instagram.
Okay.
Peirce.
Peirce. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
This has been episode 4 of the Red Mill Variety Hour. Thank you for listening. My guest has been Nat Peirce. You can check out his new release on his Bandcamp, Astral Skramz. Check it out.